Yeah, so the story of this movie about my father started in Linville, North Carolina. My wife comes from a very wealthy family, and we would go there. We still do every 4th of July. Very waspy, very white. And I come from a working middle class family, so it was kind of like these two worlds colliding while I was up there. And I had the idea of doing a movie where basically loosely based on my life where these two families kind of come together. And yes, there's differences, but ultimately at the end of the movie you see that, although there's differences, people get along. So I never thought this thing would get made. I wrote it with my buddy Austin Earl, and next thing you know, Robert De Niro loves it, and now we're in Alabama shooting the damn thing. So it was crazy. I used to wait tables at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills. I met him there in 2005, just waiting on him. Then fast forward, I worked with him on The Irishman, and then he got this script. It's not like I had the man's number and I called him and said, "You want to be my dad?" Agents sent him the script. He read it, and then he wanted to read it out loud with a group of actors. So we flew to New York. He read it out loud, and then afterwards, it wasn't like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna We left. The next thing you know, it was like, "Yeah, I want to do this." And he was in between projects. We put it in between two of his other movies, and now I'm here hosting CinemaCon. I like Laura because it's almost like we grew up in the same environment. She's an Italian American as well as I, and she knows the nuances of Italian families. Some of the movie is a little cultural, so you have to have somebody that kind of understands the family dynamic in an Italian family. Not that you have to be Italian to understand what's going on, but just like little nuances that, even some of the Italian words, she knows Italian more than I do, so she was kind of giving him Italian words to say. It was very important to have her on board. It's very serious on this thing as far as I was worried and nervous because I was working with really seasoned actors, and Robert De Niro, probably the best of our time, so it wasn't like I was goofing around. They yelled cut and I went back to my lines and whatnot, so I wasn't really funny as far as the class clown on set at all.
I love this script because I love comedies, obviously. It felt like an old-fashioned comedy, which I love, and I love the love story between Sebastian and my character, and the story of the love story between he and his father, which I thought was great. And also, it's Robert De Niro, so yeah, please, can I pay you? So yeah, it was fun. I don't know, Ellie's journey in the film, I think that she sort of realizes that her family is insane, and that, I don't know, it's just such a love story between the two of them, and that they have each other's backs, and that if she's ever not felt supported in sort of the most healthy way, it's this relationship she has with Sebastian, which is just so beautiful, and they're best friends and supportive, and also about sort of, growing up and finding your own footing with the world. We just had, he's one of my favorite one of my favorite co-stars I've ever had. I don't know, our relationships with our partners are very similar, and so I felt so safe with him, and I felt like he felt like a real partner in crime. And I don't know, chemistry is a weird thing. You never know if it's going to work, or sometimes you may really like somebody, but then you get on camera and it's it doesn't work. But something with Sebastian and I, it was so easy from the jump. It was so easy. So I adore him. She's the cutest thing ever. I mean, she's so she's so her own person, and Sebastian and I would be look at her. She's with Robert De Niro. She's got this huge movie. It's all on her shoulders. And she just every day was always in her power, never overbearing, always helping you. She always let you try everything. And so, I don't know, I thought she really stepped up and was her brightest, most confident self, and she's really talented and kind. So she was wonderful. She was, I don't know, I'm just so proud of her and so happy to, when I met her, we had a 3-hour meeting. It was my first meeting after COVID, or, you know, with the whole COVID thing, and we sat outside and we talked for like 3 hours about film, so it was amazing.
I think the big test to say yes or no to a film, but especially if it's a comedy, is if it touches you, if it makes you laugh. And the script for What About My Father did both on the first reading. Well, the character Tigger that I play, she's a senator. And she's a senator of her generation. So she's had to, as a woman, fight her way to the top. And I think that as good a mother as she wishes and thinks she is sometimes, I think that her family has played second fiddle to her career. So now that she's still working, still vibrant, she's looking at maybe changing that. And within the course of the story, it speeded up her kind of education of allowing people in and accepting more and letting go of control. I mean, I think Tigger's a control freak, and she liked things to be put in a very precise box. So when she meets the Robert De Niro character and his son, it's not what she expects or wants for her daughter. But in the end, it's exactly what she should have. I think the person who's most responsible for the atmosphere on any film set is the director. And Laura Terruso was absolutely a master at that. She really cast it so well. And each take that we did, try this, what about that? And we would break each other up because there was a feeling that we wanted to just get the best take, no matter what it took, how embarrassing it could be, or what could go right or wrong. So she let our strengths shine. She let us improvise. If there was a line that she liked better, or she would say, okay, keep rolling, let's try this line. And she would think about that line as a writer herself because of what we were doing, and she wanted to add to it and support it. So when you have that kind of leadership, you feel safe as an actor, and you also feel that you can do something which is so important, which is to play. I mean, we got to play and have fun. And I think that's part of an experience like this, which shows in the relationships, not just of the characters, but of the actors who play them. I think that good comedies like About My Father are really about family, because we're all connected to some kind of family. It doesn't matter where you live or what nationality or what you like or don't like. You can relate to the challenges and the kind of, I don't know, I guess it's a belonging. You've been there, you've had that kind of crazy uncle, or that sister who's like, after a couple of drinks is difficult to deal with, or the puzzling uncle, or the sister, or the new baby that's coming, the pregnant. All different stages of life is what you experience within that family unit. And it's used, I mean, Shakespeare, all of his great plays are about family. And he has comedy in it. I'm not saying we're doing Shakespeare, but in its own way, it is the same track of storytelling, which is about the wonderful aspects and the horrific aspects and the challenging aspects of these people you love, adore, and in some places, in some instances, can't stand. It's fertile ground for comedy. Well, there's a release of tension when you're laughing with other people. And we've gone through so much in the last 2.5 years. And it's going to take a long time to get back to where we were. But there's something about the communal activity of people coming together and being told a story, to enjoy that, to release the tension, to take your mind off of what you're going through, the situation that the world is in, and communally be together and exhale.
When I read this script, and I've been reading scripts for the last, I don't know, 5 years, I immediately felt like, oh my God, I have to make this movie. I have to direct this movie because Sebastian's life and my life have paralleled in a lot of ways. His father immigrated from Sicily in the 1960s. My mother immigrated from Sicily in the 1960s. And so when I read it, I just felt an immediate connection to the material, to the world, to the characters, especially the character of Salvo, which is played by Robert De Niro. And I was all in from the jump. I was like, I have to tell this story. Oh my God. It was a dream come true to work with this cast. I mean, top down, like Bob and Sebastian have such tremendous chemistry, and Bob brings everyone up, you know, to his level. He's such an extraordinary actor and filmmaker and collaborator, and it was such an honor to work with him. Kim Cattrall is one of the funniest women in show business. She's just brilliant and hilarious and so kind and warm. And Leslie Bibb, also hilarious. Anders Holm, David Rasche. Can we talk about David Rasche and what a genius this guy is? I mean, the whole cast. Brett Dyer, just an extraordinary group, and everyone was so lovely. And from the first day where we all were together on set, because we didn't meet until that first day, we were a family. We really became a family. Bob and Sebastian specifically, they're both hilarious. I mean, Sebastian is such a brilliant physical comedian. Bob is so funny, and I love seeing him in comedies because his comedic instincts are so dead on. I feel like he's going to walk up behind me at any moment. He's not coming forward. Okay. And we did a table read in New York when Bob read the script, and seeing them side by side, it was like, oh yeah, this could work. They look like father and son. We have a movie here. Like they had such a good chemistry just from the jump. So it was, yeah, really amazing to watch. And Sebastian had never been a leading man before, so this is his first, leading man role, and to watch him be guided and taught really by Bob was just so cool. And like he just brought it. They were so good together, and I'm so excited for people to see the film and their performances. When you work with this level of actors and improvisers, you want to encourage them to play, and we come up with alts on the day, and so that scene in particular was really fun. I want this for all my films, that they are both hilarious and heartfelt. So I want it to kind of be surprising that at the end of the movie, that throughout you're laughing, and then at the end you're like, why am I crying? And that's like, I hope, the signature of all of my films, that there's some deep emotion that comes up at the end, because this is a really universal story that is also very personal to those of us who made it. So I'm excited to share it with the world.